we have Hemant, who is Hemant. We can't hear you. Up muted.
Yeah. Hi. Hello. How are you?
So that's Hemant from FICCI, and we have
Hi.
Sumitra Srivastava from FICCI. He's behind the scenes still. So we are at 4:31. Hemant, shall we?
It's my time is showing 28. So.
Oh,
31.
Yeah, 4:31. Yeah, that's what it's showing to me.
Okay. So just 2 minutes probably, then we'll start. And people will join.
Done. Done. No problem.
Yeah.
So the way we will go, just for Christine and Sarath and Mr. Sabrinathan, we are going to, Tanya is going to introduce and invite speakers one by one. Christine will go first because she has a meeting, so she kind of can't stay through till the end. Christine will be taking up the first session, which will be followed by Sarath and then Mr. Sabrinathan. I hope that's okay with everybody.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll leave at 5 if that's okay with everybody.
No problem.
Get ready and then step out for the alcohol.
Your weekend will start at 5?
7:30 though, but go home, get ready.
Hemant, please just let us know whenever you go live so that Tanya can start then. Thank you.
Just a question. Christine, have you shared your presentation with the Wiki people already?
Not with Vicky. Abhi has it, Tanya. So Abhi can share it with...
Okay, Abhi will be sharing it on the screen.
Abhi has the presentation.
So let's start, Anchal. People will keep on joining. So.
Tanji. Tanya, your baby now.
So a very warm welcome and a good evening, everyone. My name is Tanya Bhatia and I will be your host and moderator this evening. The FICCI CMSME and BAA knowledge sharing webinars are now in full swing. We are now at the last phase of our generic session, which I would say is the most important aspect of export, and that is quality and compliance. The product we ship overseas makes a huge impact and reflects on the workmanship or craftsmanship of our country. It almost speaks of our work skills. Our speakers today will guide our members towards small steps that can be taken to make a world of difference to your product. I'd like to begin the webinar by inviting Mr. Hemant Seth, Director, FICCI, and Treasurer, FICCI CMSME. Mr. Hemant Seth, with over 2 decades with FICCI, he heads the MSME division and is also responsible for activities of FICCI, CMSME, and allied body of FICCI, created to serve the MSME sector of the country. He's played a vital role in organizing various capacity building programs for MSMEs across the country and has also led various MSME delegations to many countries. With immense knowledge and expertise in these sectors, I welcome Mr. Hemant Seth to say a few words to the members.
Thank you, Tanya. Mr. Sarath Chandran Ramakrishnan, Director, RSJ Inspection Service Limited. Mr. Sabrinath, Compliance and Audit Manager, Intertech. Ms. Christine Barrett, Head of Furniture 123, Bike Direct Limited. Mr. Vishal Dhingra, Chairman, Buying Agent Association. Ms. Achal Kansal, General Secretary, Buying Agent. MSMEs, friends and colleagues. At the outset, on behalf of FICCI CMSME, I would like to sincerely acknowledge the presence of all dignitaries and entrepreneurs who have joined us through virtual mode and are keen to explore business opportunities through exports. The MSME sector has been the priority for FICCI, and as many of you may be aware that in December 2013, FICCI established a dedicated allied body, FICCI Confederation of MSME, with a mission for empowering MSMEs. FICCI's MSME, the MSME arm of FICCI, firmly believes that MSMEs have the immense potential which is yet to be exploited, and export is an area which could be a mine of opportunities for MSMEs. Exports not only does increase the volume of profitability of the business, but it also enables MSMEs to improve upon the quality, standard, technology, and other aspects, which in turn enhance the image of MSME in global business arena. However, it is true that lack of awareness and knowledge creates roadblocks for MSMEs to tap overseas market. Those who have already ventured in these waters are struggling with other issues such as compliance, quality standards, product dimensions, etc. FICCI's MSME has realized that there is an immense gap of information in the export ecosystem which needs to be bridged. And with this objective, we join hand with Buying Agent Association to serve the MSME of the country who are aspiring to grow big through exports. I'm thankful to BA for joining hand with us and extending their expertise for the benefit of MSMEs. I'm happy that today we are organizing the third session of the series. For those who missed the first two sessions, while the first session was focused upon highlighting the role and need of design and development and aimed at making participants understand the importance of international design, the second session emphasized upon the need to prep up a product from domestic market and brand it to make it market and occasion specific internationally. In today's session, the participant will be educated on how a locally made product for domestic market needs to be upgraded to become a product made with international quality and standard. So our speaker will be using examples of different products vis-a-vis their quality and compliance requirement in international markets, especially Europe. I'm thankful to Mr. Sarath Chandran Ramakrishnan and Mr. Sabrinath who have joined today and will also share insight on quality control and different compliance requirements for export, especially to Europe. I especially express gratitude to Ms. Christine Barrett, who has joined all the way from UK. She will elaborate upon the European market expectations. I'm sure this session will benefit many MSMEs and help them in their endeavors for entering into the export market and achieve the desired goals. Without taking much time, I would like to conclude. And before I do so, once again, I would like to welcome you all at the session. Thank you. Over to you, Tanya.
Thank you so much, Hemanji. Thank you. I really do hope that all these CMSME members will have something to take back from this specially created knowledge sharing webinar on quality and compliance. And with this, I'd like to move on to invite our chairperson, Mr. Vishal Dhingra. Mr. Vishal Dhingra, as you all know, is the chairperson of BAA and PHDCCI. He has been heading specialty merchandising for over 25 years, and he has played many a role in felicitating exports from India. He has been the founder member of BAA and has been extensively involved in getting the due recognition to the service export sector and the international trade with all EPCs and government bodies, hence bringing value to the trade. I hereby invite Mr. Vishal Dhingra to share his thoughts with the MSME members.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you very much. Hello, on behalf of BAA, I would first of all like to thank Hemant and FICCI for providing us this platform where we can share our knowledge with all the actually upcoming exporters, the MSME members. We hope we keep on continuing this and keep on teaching everybody who wants to join the export trade. And given that today's webinar, what we are hosting right now, the quality control and compliance, what I've seen in the past 2 or 3 months, that Europe is getting more and more stricter. And we have clear guidelines from our clients in Europe that we need to follow certain set of rules over the next 2 to 3 years to become fully compliant out of India, be it FSC, be it sustainable packaging, be it other things. So this webinar today is coming at the right time, I believe, even for me, not only as a member of the BA, but also to basically teach our export community once I learn from you all. So thank you very much, Hemant and FICCI. Thank you, Christine, for being there all the way. And of course, the other two speakers, Sabrinathan sir and my friend So please go ahead. Tanya, please take over. Thank you, everybody, and welcome, everybody.
Thank you so much, Vishalji. It's now time to invite our esteemed speakers. Our first guest speaker this evening, Ms. Christine Barrett, is here from all the way from UK. Ms. Christine Barrett is a veteran in the buying industry and started her career with a degree in fashion and textile design from UK. Having worked with big brands like Next, Speedo, Otto, she had a very successful career in fashion for more than 20 years across women's, men's, and kids. She recognized the change in trends and the emergence of homeware and furniture as a huge opportunity and decided to explore this growing category. Christine has since worked with both small and large companies, either privately owned or blue chip, and has successfully turned companies around to yield high performance and sustained growth year on year using a process-oriented approach that she established. Today, Christine is managing a very large e-commerce furniture business of Furniture 123, a brand of Buy It Direct, one of the largest e-commerce business in the UK with substantial growth plans. Having worked for so many years as a multi-channel retailer through stores and catalogs, Christine has an end-to-end experience in supply chain and challenges it poses, and is truly excited to be a part of the ever-changing online retail environment. I'd like to welcome Christine Barrett to share her presentation and her knowledge with all of us today.
Thank you very much, Tanya, and I'm very pleased to be here today. I hope you'll find my presentation useful, and if there are any questions after, I'm quite open to any questions. So I will share my screen. Can everybody see this?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm here today to talk about quality management and the system of quality management and its importance in the growing business of exports. Oh, my slide isn't changing. Oh, there we go. Okay, so quality. What is quality? At the end of the day, quality is about fitness for purpose and for conformance. It's a commonly used term to describe what quality is, and it's ensuring that the product meets the specification that's been given to the manufacturer. So what its end use is, what the dimensions are of the product, its colour and design, and variation, what tolerances are set to understand and control. However, don't confuse quality control with quality assurance. This is quite key because quality control is that 100% inspection, whereas quality assurance is the system that you establish to ensure the quality throughout the production process. So for me, quality control and its importance is critical, and manufacturers provide fantastic products and services that a customer requires, and it's the delivery of these products and services when delivered in the right way that ensures customer satisfaction and therefore repeat engagement, meaning repeat orders. However, customer requirements such as reliability, availability, accuracy, and delivery dates are also of utmost importance. So quality assurance, it's consistent quality, and that is key as well, of manufacture and product. It ensures long-lasting efficiency for the factory. It ensures higher productivity levels, and it brings customers back for more business, which is obviously what everybody wants. It keeps you ahead of the competition. It enhances the brand value. It means increased customer satisfaction. There's reduced risk because you know what you're getting and what you're producing. There's less human error because the processes ensure that they are followed. And therefore, what we all need is increased revenue and profit. Here's an example to understand the term for quality insurance. And here we have a chair that a local manufacturer has produced that's not for export, and it's been produced without involving quality assurance. Things such as the legs might break, the finish might become worn, that it's not adhered properly to the product or to the base, and we could get a broken back. And why has this happened? The raw wood might have not been procured from, uncertified sources. The wood treatment process might not have been controlled under the correct specification. Post-treatment control processes and the quality checks might have been skipped because of lack of resource in the quality department, or they felt it wasn't needed. Production processes might not be under the correct level of quality control. What AQL are we working to? Good quality finishes might not have been used. There may have been poor wood selection whereby the knots have been put in the wrong place at key joints. Various checks and analysis might not have been done, and on-site checks and testing might not have been undertaken. Critical risk analysis might not have been evaluated prior to going into production. And a continuous corrective action plan, a CAPA, might not have been taken, identifying where the issues are to make sure they are continuously improved. To understand the term quality assurance, the quality responsibility is to ensure that the raw wood is procured from a certified source. And this becomes more important for export now because duty and customs and with the world and our global responsibilities, legislation is becoming far stricter. So we have to have due diligence to ensure it's from certified sources. Wood treatment was controlled under the correct technical specs, so it meets the criteria of moisture, it's not exceeded or it's not too dry, therefore cracking. Post-treatment control process and quality checks are performed by the quality department, ensuring it meets the standards. Production processes are controlled by a trained quality team. The correct finishes that have been tested and used are regularly checked for compliance. And this doesn't just mean within house, it could be that it is tested by the likes of Intertek for formaldehyde, etc., whatever the requirements of the product. Various technical inspections are carried out and results shared with the production team. So if there are any requirements needed to tweak production, they can be undertaken. On-site inspections and tests were performed at initial, midline and final. So they will check the raw materials. They'll ensure that they've been treated correctly. In midline, we can ensure that it's going through the requirements that should be. And if there's any rectifications, do it at this point rather than wait till final where the issues could potentially occur. And critical risk analysis was evaluated at the initial stages. Is this product fit for purpose? Does it do what it's supposed to do? Continuous corrective and preventative action plans were taken on any issues that have arisen. So a certified and well-organised manufacturer has produced a chair involving the correct quality assurance. On home decor, with quality assurance, it's ensuring that high grade and properly checked sheets were taken on this mirror, that phosphating was performed under QC with a 7-tank process. And after phosphating, QC checks were undertaken to make sure that they're adhering to the requirements. Production processes have been controlled by the quality team. High quality finishes were used and regularly checked in the production process, and various quality analysis was carried out with output shared with production. On-site checks and testing were performed with reports, and critical risk analysis was evaluated at the initial stages. And again, a CAPA plan was taken on any issue. So without quality control, you can see we have faults, which leads to far more problems by the time the product gets to the end user. Again, on a light, for instance, the same things, high grade, properly checked sheets, phosphating performed with the 7-tank process under QC. Phosphating checks are taken afterwards to ensure the products adhered correctly. Quality finishes are used and the production process goes all the way through. even down to the textiles. It's ensuring that the product is formed correctly, there are no bends, that the wires in the lamp is okay, that the fabric has come through the mill okay and has been adhered to the shade correctly. On fabrics, on textiles, high-grade lab-tested fabrics were sourced initially. So low-grade fabrics could cause issues. Does the yarn need to be mercerized? Does it have slubs? Is that what the customer requested? Controlled printing and weaving was maintained to get high-quality products. Regular QC checks are taken while cutting and gluing. Calibration of the machines were maintained to ensure high quality. So when we're ensuring that we're getting the correct tensile strength within the fabric, qualitative finishes were certified from the lab. Have they been tested for colour fastness and have they been tested for rub testers and colour fastness to light? Various qualitative analysis was carried out and analysis was shared with production. On-site production checks and testings were performed with reports. Critical analysis was evaluated at the initial stages, and again, a kappa was set up to ensure continuity and consistency. Again, if this was shipped in this current position, we would have returns from customer. We would engage at our end with customer calling us up, complaining. We'd have to discount the product. We'd have returns, and it's all additional costs that eat into the profit. So product performance and its impact on quality. It's critical that a lot of tests are carried out. Some of these can be done in-house. In some products, it has to be done by a certified lab such as Intertek. For instance, on a table, a tilt test of 10 degrees to check for stability. If you lean on a side of a table or put weight on it, is it going to tip? It shouldn't. And that sort of test can be carried in-house. Product balancing to check for any wobbling. I'm sure we've sat in a restaurant and had to put that piece of card under the table to keep our food level on the table. It's important for a customer to ensure that it does what it says. Leg strength test to ensure that the leg can support the weight of the table, that it's not going to collapse, and it will also have on top of it products on top. The stability of unloaded and loaded product with the anti-tip. If I put a paint can on the edge of a table, is it going to support it or is it going to tip? The jaw endurance test, making sure that we've got smooth runners, they're not going to catch, that the magnet operating procedure is going to work and the magnet's not going to fall off. Knobs, pulls and load test, again checking for knob strength. The last thing I want to do when I've got lots of things in a drawer is to pull the knob off and not be able to get in and have to get a knife to open the drawer up. Loading capacity on the top to check the tabletop for bearing strength. Shelf drawer loading capacity to check the bottom doesn't fall out of the drawer when I put all the products in it. An end drop test to check for structural damage. The article could fall sideways. And coating adhesion test like we saw on the chair to ensure that the finish is suitable for the end use. On a table, the same, a tilt test. You want to be able to lean on the chair without it falling over. You want the chair to balance correctly and check that it doesn't wobble. The leg strength test needs to ensure that you can sit on it and it will take weight. The pullback durability test to ensure that if you pull on the chair, it's not going to break, that the back won't snap. Arm strength, vertical and horizontal. You want to be able to stand up from a chair, pushing on the arms without them breaking. And seat static load, how much weight can we get? You know, we now start selling in the UK with a maximum weight. So weight bearing load is identified so that if you have an overweight customer, at least we've protected ourselves because we've tested that chair to ensure it has the weight that it should do. Seat impact durability, again, to check for any damages or structural damage when someone sits on it. For electricals, this is getting more tougher in the UK now. Now that we've left the EU, for the UK, there's a lot more requirements. Where CE used to be acceptable, we've now got UKCA that's coming in for 2020. So a lot more testing is going to be required. We have the tilt test on a lamp. We have product balance, the same as before. Cord strength, to check for the cord strength. So if there's some tugging, it's not going to come apart and wires are not going to be exposed. High pot test, to check for any high voltage flow that could be exposed or have issues. Continuity and polarity check, to check the connections are correct. An endurance test, we have to ensure that that product can be left on for a number of hours and it's not going to fail. Switch on and off test, to check that the switch is working, which you'd think, well, isn't that basic? But yes, we do have issues. The load test, to check for load capacity. The coating adhesion test, if it's been powder coated, do we make sure that, you know, it can last with the heat, etc. Critical component and marking check, this is really key. And as I mentioned, like CE, it's now UKCA going forward. External testing with an accredited lab. We have to have the accredited documentation and we have to show due diligence that these have been tested now. If anything happens, we have to have that documentation in the UK. Packaging and its impact on quality. This is one of my favourite subjects at the moment, and Anshul will attest to how I'm always going on about it. And we have many conversations about this. Given the huge upturn in e-commerce and in light of COVID, all the e-commerce businesses have seen huge uplifts on their revenue. It's so important that packaging is adapted, and retailers now, virtually every retailer that I can think of in the UK has some form of e-commerce. So whereas before a product would come in a container and it would go into a warehouse and then a van would deliver it to stores, there was very limited packaging required, because it would go to stores, it would be unpacked and it would sit there and the customer would take it. Now that we are delivering through our own carriers and through third-party carriers, it's imperative that product passes a drop test. It's imperative that the impact that they will have, because we can't control the drivers and their handling, although we can issue guidelines, there's no guarantee that something might not slip or something moves in the van. So this is critical to ensure that business growth going forward with your suppliers is maintained to the level required. This is images of my product, of really poorly packed product that has got to the customer. And this is pre us doing a lot more work. But as you can see, the outer cartons aren't sufficient for the product or the movement and management of the product. Any form of damp within the container. And in the last 8 months, we've seen a lot more container damage due to the shortage of containers. So people are utilising containers that normally wouldn't be utilised and have little holes in them. And even though the factory can look at the container and do a visual inspection, there's a lot of holes that can't be seen. So water damage comes in and the product is just not capable of withstanding it inside because of the way it's been packed, or we don't have the facilities to repack it. So that is a very bad customer experience. When we talk about impact damage and the importance of the drop test, these again are images of our products that have been packed but perhaps haven't met the required drop test. So you can see all the cracks that have been incurred through being dropped by the carrier or having slight movements, the boxes not being strong enough to withstand scratches on the outside. In the middle, where you've got the walnut effect chest of drawers, we were getting a lot of damages on this product, and you can see that in the bottom left-hand corner. This is an Indian product. To prevent the damage, we changed the design to accommodate it, and this was part of our CAPA program, corrective action. We put a V in the top of the product to absorb some of the impact damage, and this reduced a lot of our returns damage. But as you can see, the impact damage on products is substantial. And the more we can do to prevent this, then the better the customer journey, as well as the increased revenue, because we're not coming back to you for claims. We're not giving customer cash because they want discounts, or we're not having to resend out the product and return the other product, which is quite costly for us in the UK. So the importance of packaging and tests, this is to me critical at the moment, given the growth of e-commerce. It helps to analyse and check the carton and its packaging as to whether it's suitable for shipments or not. It's so key, as I've already mentioned, for the upsurge in e-commerce that the world is seeing. It's not just the UK, it's the whole of the world, the Americans, Europeans, etc. Packaging needs to be tightly packed and taped with no bulging. The minute there's a bulge, you can get a carrier pulling on the end of it and it therefore tears. If there's a bulge when they're taking it off the container, they will grip onto it and it can tear. There should be no major gaps to allow for movement in the internal packaging. There should be no product voids at all, no voids in the product at all. So movement is totally minimised. Corner supports are key to help absorb shocks and vibrations, whether this is through styrofoam. From our Brazilian factories, we've got styrofoam, we've got corner protections with MDF, and we've got additional packaging on the corners as well. Styrofoam helps to absorb the vibrations depending on the density, and it's ensuring we get the right density right, and the impact to avoid damage at the corners. Now, styrofoam is obviously not that green, and we're looking at the emergence of the honeycomb packaging, which is becoming a lot more popular, and it's also quite durable. So you will probably see a lot more around that. The further ahead you are in packaging and its recycling capabilities, the better you are going to be from my perspective and from other people who will be buying from you, because it shows you're monitoring the game and you're one step ahead. We've just started to record all the requirements of our packaging, which we've not done before. So this now means we have duty to be laden onto us on top of the normal duties over the packaging. The more it's recyclable, the better it's going to be. Brown paper or thin jiffy foam that helps minimise the chance of scratches on glass or metal tops. And we're no longer just retailers. The world is changing to buy more online, and therefore we need to ensure the product arrives in one piece and as expected. I'm all about customer satisfaction, engaging the customer and delighting the customer. If you're buying from a picture, I want it to exceed expectations of that image, not to disappoint. So when they receive it, it's even better than they thought it would be. So packaging and tests. This test is done for 24 hours to check for any compression on the carton. This test helps not just when stored in the warehouse, but obviously given our lead times now in containers, we're seeing a lot of transshipment on containers. So you can get it to port expecting it to be delivered in 3 weeks. We're seeing it between 6 and 8 weeks. So that compression test is even more important, because the minute it comes off the container, it's sat there for 6 weeks. Then it goes into our warehouse and can sit for a further while. We're quite fortunate at the moment in our sales are so good. The minute it gets into our warehouse, we've probably pre-sold that container and it goes straight out again. However, that's saying we're so behind on our orders and availability, we still need to ensure that when it's sat in the warehouse, it can still have weight put on it. So again, this helps us identify where there are issues with the packaging. So quality for fitness for purpose and conformance. In order to grow your business and keep customers returning for repeat orders, you need to ensure that the QA procedures of your manufacturing and your products is of utmost importance. It's not just about the product, although that is key. The outer is just as important as the inner. And remember that quality control is 100% inspection, whereas quality assurance is a system established to assure quality during production. Thank you. Okay. I'm just trying to unshare.
Thanks, Christine. Thank you so much. Your in-depth product knowledge, I must say, is highly commendable. Clearly, it shows the eye of a customer and their perspective towards the product. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
I'd now like to call upon our next speaker for the day, Mr. Sarath Chandran, founder and director of RSG Inspection Service Limited. He's a textile professional with over 23 years of expertise in quality management, product management, vendor management, inventory management, strategic planning, sourcing, and team management. Sarath also holds SA 8000 Basic Auditor certification, ZED Master Trainer Assessor, EFQM C2 Exim Bank Award Assessor, American Society for Quality ASQ certified. He also holds 6 Sigma Black Belt, Quality Auditor, Quality cum Organizational Excellence Manager. That's a lot to your honor, Sarath, I must say. Welcome on board, and I invite you to share your PPT with all of us.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Buying Agency Association and also like FICCI, Hemant. Thank you very much for this particular opportunity. So, Tanya, like I just shared my presentation. Hope it's visible.
Yes, it is. Do you want to just enlarge it, Sarath, so it's more viewable? Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So like for this particular, thank you, Christian, for giving a wonderful perspective on quality. So I am going to cover in this particular presentation about the compliance. So like for this particular presentations, like I have done some background work just to find out how many voluntary sustainable standards are applicable for Indian exporters while sending it to Europe. So any of you have any idea like how many private standards, sustainability standards are available today? Any guess, anyone? Okay, so let me share. So I am trying to shift my presentation. So there are one website like that's developed by International Trade Center, and they have like one sustainability map. So I searched it there, put it India as a exporting country and Europe is a receiving country. There are like around 117 sustainability standards are there today in the market, and that's too many. As a MSME or as a budding exporters, like this many compliance standards gives like some kind of too heavy feeling or some kind of burden. So let me give some perspective in this presentation to simplify, to give an idea what kind of actions can be taken. So first is like there is a website, it's called sustainabilitymap.org, and any one of you can go to that particular website. You can select your product and you can select your country, whichever that you want to export. That will show like which are all the standards are available. So one caution here, there will be like many standards going to be shown there, and you need to do some background before going for and selecting any sustainable standards. So here in this particular table, I have given industry wise how many standards are shown in that particular website. So even here, like each particular product category, all are in double digits. Particularly if you see in textile and garments, there are 44. And if you see in consumer products, there are 46. And agriculture 62. So these numbers again too high. And before going into complaints, let me give the background, like how it is started and what's happening and what's the future in this particular area. In middle 1990s or late 1990s, and there are a lot of negative publicity in the media about abusive working condition of workers in Asian countries. So that had given a negative publicity about the brands and about the retailers. So they want to come out from that particular way. For that, they have started their own code of conduct. So they created one code of conduct, Like for example, like some of you may already know, IKEA has highway, and Marks and Spencer has its own code of conduct, and H&M has their own code of conduct. Like that, each customers or each brands or each OEM started their own code of conduct, and they started to put it in their contract. If any of my suppliers, if you want to business from me, you need to adhere this code of conduct, and I may come and audit, or I may hire a third party. So that's the systems they have started in the end of 1990s, and that they put it just to protect their brand. And also this is due to like a higher consumer awareness and media coverage happening. And also some of the customers used it as a unique selling proposition. So as the competitions gets higher, there are like more supply than demand. They use like our sourcing, which is a responsible sourcing. So like if you purchase our products, you are also part of making difference of our strategy. So that is also like put some kind of push in the compliance area. Apart from that, you know, like our India, we have like a corporate social responsibility requirements for the larger companies who is having like a higher turnover and higher profits. Like that in every country, like most of the countries in the Western world, they also started like a corporate social requirements as part of that. This is also like put some kind of pressures in the compliance requirements. Apart from that, there are UN Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 goals are there. I will talk about that a little later. And there are like earlier, like there are 3 R concepts were there. Like now it's becoming a circular economy. And we are talking about like earlier was cradle to cradle, now cradle to cradle. How it can be reused, upcycled, all these concepts started to come. And also like the recent one is like Paris Agreement, climate change, and there are more than 100 countries participating in this area, and even most of the countries pledged for a net carbon emission by 2050. So what are the compliance standards today we are having, and the future which is going to come in upcoming another 5 years and 10 years, it's going to be much challenging, much stricter because of this Paris Agreement and climate change. So to put it in compliance, what is compliance? Compliance is meeting requirements, and requirements may be in the standards, maybe statutory or regulatory requirements, or anything which states, like even the code of conduct, it says like these are all our requirements, and the meeting that requirements is compliance, if I put it in a simple way. And also if I classify what are the types of compliances are there. So compliances like one is social compliance, and another one is like most of the code of conduct, ethical conduct audits, which comes under the social compliance. And there are environmental compliance audits, there are sustainable compliance audits, there are product quality compliance audits, there are traceability complaints, there are energy complaints, there are technical complaints. Apart from that, there are some other compliances also there. For example, anti-corruption compliances applicable in for the some of the bigger companies, and also like there are European data protection regulations, that complaints also required for some of the companies who deals with large customer data. So this gives a broader view. I talked about sustainable sustainability goals, 17 goals. Okay, even India government also very keen on this particular sustainable development goals. So Nidhi Ayog is keen, and they have done a base goals which is set up on 2018. If you go and search in Google, you will find like what is the base goals, like almost 60 goals they got developed. Even every year they are doing a comparison of which states against which goal, where they are standing. They are seeing this. Why I am sharing this? Even our future regulations, future government policies, these are going to get impacted based on the sustainable development goals. If you see any of the certifications or compliance, they already started to map with SDG goals. Even if you see bigger retailers, like for example, if you go to Unilever website, you will see like what are the sustainability goals they are having. They already aligned with SDG goals. So this is like one of the future which is going to take the compliance to the next level, and it's better to watch what's happening in this particular area. And also like there is a prestigious quality frameworks there in Europe. It's called UFQM, and UFQM has an excellence model, and they launched a new model in 2020, and in that model also they are recurring. If any company which they want to implement UFQM, mostly like European companies does that, they need to align this SDG goals, like what they are doing into that and what kind of results they are producing. So like mostly that European larger companies and our potential customers, they are going to drive this also through the compliances programs or the private standards. So one of the basic complaints is social complaints, and those social complaints based on mostly ILO standards, like International Labour Organization, and another one is like the Global Compact 10 principles. Like if you take any code of conduct or any social complaints audit, most of the things are common, and this all comes from like ILO guidelines or this Global Compact. So there are 4 different major criteria categorized here. One is human rights, another one is labor standards, another one is environment, another one anti-corruption. Under that, there are 10 principles put, and these 10 principles are under the human rights. It's protection of human rights, and also like making sure that no human right abuses. That talks about two principles. In terms of labor, like it's giving freedom for association, and also elimination of compulsory or forced labor, and also abolition of child labor, and elimination of discrimination. So this is another 4 principles under labor. In the environment, there are 3 principles and 1 principle related to anti-corruption. This is the 10 principles. So social complaints audits, like I have taken here, there are 3 like code of conduct. Even one is like individual retailers. They ask. So what happened is like when the individual retailers ask for individual audits, exporters needs to go through too many audits. So that too many audits puts pressure and also cost. So they have seen like what's the solution for this. For that, some of the association, they started a platform. So I am showing it here 3 platform. Like one is SEDEX, another is Amorphory BSCI, and another one is ICIS. So these platforms, like it's a membership platforms, and SEDEX is in based out of UK, and Amorphory is based out of Brussels, and ICS is based out of France. And this BSCI, and there were like more than 2,300 members are there. Most of these members are from Europe, and these companies are like mostly importers, like and retailers and brands. So they are the members of this company. The advantages of this association BSCI audit is, so like once one audit is done, that audit data can be shared among the members. So this helps to duplicate of audits. So this is like one of the sought after in Europe, like because of their strong hold of membership. And this one you can consider. And the second one is like SMETA audits. For this, like there are around 60,000 members are there. Any exporters can become members, and there are more than 600 brands and retailers are accepting this SMETA audits. And this also like having a wide variety of segments, including apparels, food, other areas. Even it's here also. One advantage here is like the exporters controls their data. Like once the audit is done, audit might be done by any third party, and they can upload that data and the data will be visible to the member exporters. They can see if any of their customers interested want to know like whether your factory is audited. If they are a member of SEDEX, then they can give the access. Instead of sending that report, they can give that access, and that customer can see that particular data. And also it helps like a duplication of audit in this particular area. And third one is like I'm sharing it here, ICIS. And ICIS is like based on France, and there are around 50 multinational companies, their members. And again, the product categories comes under textiles, retail, footwear. And there are few electronics and furniture customers also ask about this. And there are many more social compliances are there. I have taken just only 3 to show. And most of the social compliances, if you want to implement, I have suggestions here in this slide. You can see Export Promotion Council for Handicrafts. They have done a good work. They have created a implementation guidelines, and it's available in multiple language. It's available in English, Hindi, English, Marathi, English, Telugu, English, Tamil, English, Bengali. Anyone wants to implement social complaints in your factories, you can go to this link, which I am showing it here, like epch.in. If you go there, you can download. It's free of cost, and it's like a easy to step-by-step guide, and it covers like almost 60% of social complaints, whatever that you want to do it. That's the one thing I want to share it here. If I go to environmental complaints, okay, so environmental complaints mostly it covers on environmental management systems, and also it talks about emission of air, and also it talks about effluent management systems and waste management systems, and also pollution prevention. And for this also, like Quality Council of India, they created a learning platform. It's called eCoast. If you go QCIN website, you will find eCoast. Under eCoast, they have a good learning materials. If anybody wants to go for apply that environmental, what are the things they need to take care, that is available in their website. You can ask your people to go and study that material, which is applicable to Indian government and regulatory. Based on that, they have developed that, and it's a very useful one. And one thing is here, when anybody wants to go for environmental complaints, it's very critical to get that consent to operate. And also that consent to operate gives a lot of conditions to operate. It's very critical to follow that consent to operate conditions. If you follow that conditions, you already adhering around 60 to 70% of UMS requirements. So here I am giving like 3 examples. Again, it's first one is like Amorphori. It's a business environmental performance initiative. Second one is SEDEX Meta 4-pillar audit. Third one is ICIS. You can go to these websites. They have also a lot of training materials. They have like a lot of details how one can go ahead and apply. And particularly ICS has good suggestions for factories. And also this environmental complaints, for that you need to see which kind of factory, where your factory comes. It's applicable mainly for the factories who comes under red category. That is highly polluted category industry. In textile processing units, which are involved in dyeing and processing, that kind of industry comes there. But others also like need to comply that minimum requirements, even if you are not having a zero discharge. And apart from that, sustainability compliance, there are many voluntary standards are there. I have listed a few here. One is like Ocotex, Better Cotton Initiatives, GOTS, Fair Trade, and Greenco. And when I'm putting it in sustainability, it's not like only they will come under this category. There are something overlapping also there. Like a few will go for social complaints also. Few part will go for environmental also. Few will come under sustainability also. It's like individual voluntary standards goes in multiple categories. It can be put. And one of the things, Germany is like in very advanced stage in the compliance. and they have created a lot of standards, and they also created ecosystems, and their consumer awareness is like very, very high level. And they created some of the standards, which is as a business perspective also. Like here I am putting it some of the labels, which is Ocotex Made in Green, Standard 100, Leather Standard, or Detox, or Eco Passports. These are all product certification claims. If you apply for this, and they will come and audit the factory, and they will pull the samples and test it in the laboratory. If that product meets that standard requirement of technical standards, then you can use in the label. You can put the label, this particular product, whatever that you are manufacturing, meets that particular requirements. These labels already European customer having the awareness. So this comes under the product certification also as a compliance. And this one is like a Better Cotton initiatives. This is to give like promote the welfare of the farmers. This is like a supply chain initiatives, which also comes under the traceability area. And fair trade is like one of the recognized certification. And even in India, there is a fair trade labeling organization certification body is there. And if you see in Europe, particularly agriculture products, coffee or tea, and fair trade certified products gets a premium price, and non-certified this may be costing like around 10 to 20% extra than normal products. And this is also like one of the good certifications if you are in that particular product categories. GOTS, it's a organic textile. This is a global standards, and here it's again a traceability, and it's traceability starting from the farming and cotton production, ginning, spinning, and weaving, processing, and making the product. The whole supply chain is gets evaluated whether it's use that organic methodology or minimum wherever possible the chemicals were used. And if you want to get certified for this, when you apply, they will see that whether what are the raw material or accessories which you are purchasing from got certified vendors, that suppliers. That's what they will see. And also your way of manufacturing, whether it supports like based on the standards. And also the banned chemicals which you are not using, that will be seen. And once you got certified, you can use that GOTS label in your products. Apart from that, there are traceability complaints. This is related to EU timber regulations like a Forest Stewardship Council certification and EPC gauge bridge. Again, Export Promotion Council Handicrafts had done a very good proactive steps. They created a assessment called Vrix, which is the legality assessments, which helps handicrafts exporters to show the compliance to while they are selling that timber products, particularly the furnitures. More than 600 Indian handicrafts got this particular certification. So a few tips before closing my presentation. One is like why compliance. Sometimes like when we see this kind of presentation, it looks like a pain. It looks like a burden. But if you really see when as a entrepreneurship, if you see like last 100 years, and when it started an industrial age, from there to information age, and we are into the totally new age worker age. Now, if we are not having a vision which is bigger than making money, if you are not making difference to the planet, if you are not doing something innovatively, which are supporting our sustainability, which are supporting our climate change, it's very difficult to be in the business, and also it's very difficult to attract the talent. And most of the compliances right now today we are having, it's the basics which is mostly required to follow as per government regulatory also. When we are following these compliances, that means like we are following regulatory requirements. That means it's a risk mitigation, and also it gives like a better workplace, so that like we can attract good manpower. Attrition goes low, morale goes high, so that productivity goes high. And also it gives us satisfactions. We are doing something good other than making money in terms of through our manufacturing. And few ideas, if you are a new or a budding entrepreneur, please join Export Promotion Council, whichever relevant to your products. And please attend exhibitions, visit and attend seminars like this, where they are having about compliance of products, get the knowledge about it. And also FICCI is having one good program. That program is called Indo-German Managers Training Program. It's sponsored by German government, and they are doing it for last 4-5 years. And I will strongly recommend, if anybody is want to expand that work with Germany, you can explore to attending this particular program, or you can send your managers for this particular program. Thank you very much. I complete my presentation here. My contact details are here. I am active in LinkedIn. If you choose to connect with me, you can choose. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarath. That was really indeed a very detailed presentation on compliance and quality shared by you. I hope that's benefited our members. I'd like to move on to invite Mr. K. Sabrinathan. Mr. K. Sabrinathan from Intertech India Private Limited is Manager Inspections. He is responsible for operations, quality and systems, facility audits, internal quality and compliance training. He has over 20 years of experience in quality assurance, vendor management, technical audit, factory evaluations. His product lines include textiles, general merchandising, including hard goods, kitchen utensils, stationeries, sports items, leather garments, accessories. Therefore, I'm sure a lot of our MSME members will benefit from his learnings and experience. I hereby invite Mr. K. Sabrinathan to share his PPT and knowledge with all of us.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aya. And for is my screen is visible? Hello.
Yes, it is. It is. You just need to put it on full mode, full slide view mode.
And
Perfect. Thank you.
It's been a good elaborative and a presentation. As you know, quality is basically it's never an accident. Basically, it's always the result of an intelligent effort. So when we put this effort on converting a product to an effective export and bringing the quality into its, there are three aspects where Ms. Christine and Mr. Sarath has covered elaborately the part of compliances, and here I'm and Ms. Christine has covered the part of product testings. Here I'm covering the part of quality control, how we have to implement the system. As you know, this quality is the ability of the product or service to meet a customer expectations. The objective is to achieve the right final product on time, planning and monitoring the overall systems of functionings of quality systems, customer satisfactions, and focus on continuous improvements. You know, in our export line, basically, it's not an 100% in manual activities, neither it's not an 100% in machine activities. There's a combination of machine and manual activities. And there are some traditional exports and traditional businesses where the subject is not about achieving the quality or achieving the product, but the subject is to avoid unwanted quality issues or unexpected issues on the production and exports what you are conducting. So this helps us by achieving within quality management system. So quality management system is a framework of policies and strategies, process, routine, and responsibilities that organizations use to achieve their goals and fulfill the customer requirements. It's also a tool of successful lead on organization in structured and systematic way and constantly improve the process in order to increase the customer satisfaction and reach the goal of organizations. So currently, and as an exporter right now, the challenges what we are having is in high profile recall cases. It may be due to a number of reasons, or maybe sometimes we are not able to identify the root causes also. And stringent product safety requirements like is clearly explained by Christine and clearly told by Sarath also in their presentations. And buyer demanding measures for evaluating factories and factories wanting to benchmark themselves. So basically the non-conformity risk, the failure to meet the product safety standards or a legal standard, where this failure puts the customer integrity at risk. If we see the supply chain, the customer expects the product quality from a manufacturer or the exporter, and those products should meet their safety standards and product legal requirements. It should not put them under risk. If the major NC, a deficiency which requires prompt attention to prevent a potential product safety failure or a legal issue from arising, where this failure may potentially put customers or brand integrity at the risk. If we speak about the minor NC, a deficiency which requires attention to improve good manufacturing practice standards, due diligence, documentations, or to achieve compliance with customer standards. So the purpose of quality management, why we need quality management? As we know, the quality management is to avoid any failures either internally or externally, to avoid reworks, to avoid retesting, or to avoid the scrap or downtimes, to avoid failures, to avoid compensations, to avoid return products, to avoid any liability cost or reputation loss. Actually, quality management has been designed, or it is a purpose or mandatory to spend on your new product designs and developments, process controls, trainings, documentations, success product inspections, testings, and calibrations. So this slides, I'm going to talk about the entire thing, which is apart from your regular things, and it's about an environmental policy or your factory license or stability certificate, XYZ, whatever, apart from your legal documents as an exporter who is running the export house or the manufacturing unit. So what we need to focus more to achieve the quality. So quality can achieve by the systems what we implemented. So the quality management system is one of the main tool. So to overcome this, a management commitment and continual improvement, risk management system, quality management systems, site and facilities management, product control, product testing, process control, personal training and competence. So in management commitment and continual improvement, the factory management is committed to providing an adequate all required resources like personal infrastructures, work environment, financial supports to effectively implement the system with measurable objectives. System of reviewing the identifying action taken and opportunities for improvement. Management systems also should review the results of an audit, either it's an internal audit or external audits, and a follow-up action and management review meetings and customer complaints and feedbacks, and status of the preventive and corrective action which put after every case or issue, product safety and quality objectives, process performance and product conformity, and changes that could affect the management risk managements. So management system review should include statutory and regulatory requirements, recourse needs, and recommendations for improvements. So when we talk about the risk management, identifying the risk, assessing the risk, controlling the risk, reviewing the controls. Risk management system is about the legislative and safety requirements. It's an awareness about the relevant legislations, mandatory standards, and industries, codes of practices applicable to the product in the countries of intended sales. Regular updates on legislative and mandatory standards or requirements are mandatory. The factory shall have a management system for assuring the product safety, legality, and quality. For example, REACH is a regulation of the European Union, which is registration, evaluation, authorization, and restriction of chemicals, which is adopted to improve the protection of human health and the environment from the risk that can be posed by chemicals. While enhancing the competitiveness of the Europe chemical industries, REACH addresses the production and use of chemical substances and their potential impacts on both human health and the environment. So this regulation restricts the use of large selection of chemicals in apparels, and this region I'm taking as example. And restricted chemicals that are sometimes used in the apparel are, among others, certain azodides, flame retardants, waterproofings and stains, repelling chemicals and nickels, and some chromium metals in leathers. These are all some things which is banned by the REACH. Some European countries have an additional national regulations on specific chemicals, and those chemicals, those requirements has to be considered. On top of which, many fusion brands and retailers have formatted their own restricted substances, which are also, when you are making the product, all this needs to comply with these buyers specific if you want to do the business with the certain buyers. So familiarize yourself with the complete list of chemicals unrestricted by REACH is then mandatory. To ensure that, work with the suppliers of your sourcing team, and you should be ensured that sourcing teams are REACH compliant, and we can ask for the proof from them, and we can make a contract with the suppliers that they should supply or their REACH compliance factories, and we can also perform a random audit to ensure the REACH compliance factories are fulfilling and they are following all the requirements. And product-based risk management, plan for a product and production process based on a risk assessment system which is systematic, comprehensive, thoroughly, fully implemented and maintained. Product risk assessment should include the user types. So on which market or which type of users that they are going to use these products, whether a newborn or young children or men, women or elder or disabled. The product used by the behavior, user guide, instructions, informations, advices, possible hazard and risk identification, example, chemicals, physical and regulatory hazards, severity of each risk and hazard identified as a critical, major or moderate or minors, acceptable criteria considering the probability or likelihood and the severity and potential consequences of the effects on the customer and the consumer's safeties. Example, if I take in the garment industry, a special requirements for children wears. The children wears normally should not have a cords or strings in the neck area of the baby wear. Hoodies are not allowed in the children wears. Do not use any accessories like buttons that can come loose and cause a choking hazard. Perform a small part cylinder test to check which parts are allowed, such as. And process-based risk assessments or risk assessment of hazards potentially introduced during the production, packaging or storage. And manufacturing parameters such as conditions of equipments, molds, dyes and machineries, chemicals or the materials that used for equipments, calibration of equipments, policies of your foreign body contaminations. All these things are controlled under process risk assessment. And process risk assessment also should include a list of potential risk of hazards in the production process, control points to manage the identification risk of acceptable level, accept, reject limits defined for each control point, corrective action to be taken, responsibility for each control points, and records of monitoring and reviews. So in the quality management system, it states the policy statement, control of documents, control of records, responsibility and authority, internal audit, purchasing, supplier and subcontract approvals, supplier subcontract ongoing performance monitoring, customer property, corrective and preventive actions, identification and traceability, incident, product withdrawal and product recall, business continuity plan, customer focus, and compliance handling. So the factory shall develop and document and implement an effective quality management system and address the following areas. The policy should clearly state the company's intention to produce safe and legal products to defend the quality and to meet its responsibility to its customers. And the policy has to have a periodic review and updates. Control of documents will talk about the documents which records and data impacting the management of product safety, legality, and quality are present and effectively controlled. Periodic review and update with the date along with the changes made. Removal of obsolete documents from point of operations. Control of records also should establish a procedures for the collection, review, maintenance, storage, and retrieval of all records impacting product safety, legality, and quality. An appropriate storage of goods, periods of records retained specified by the customer or legislations, the specifications of raw materials, components, intermediate, semi-processed, and any product or service which could impact the integrity of the finished product. Specifications should be accurate and compiling with relevant safety, legislative, and customer requirements. The responsibility and authority should clearly defined and documented in the organizational structures. Key staff responsibilities and their job descriptions, addressing the responsibilities to handle in case of the key staffs are absent. Also, there should be have an internal audit system. The documented procedures that detailing the audit criteria, scope, including the areas of development and process and the frequency of audit that needs to conduct, and records of the internal audits and associated corrective actions maintained with both conformity and non-conformities, and the purchasings with your suppliers and subcontractors to monitor their performances, the list of approved suppliers and subcontractors, and what is the selection process for you to choose the supplier and subcontractor to supply the materials for you, and the trial period for new suppliers and subcontractors, and procedures of selection of unapproved suppliers, subcontract on unusual situations, periodic ongoing performance and evaluation updates. In the customer properties, all the customer properties, including the intellectual properties of the customer, should be subject to controls, and procedures should be in place to account, track, destroy, and record customer properties. And corrective and preventive actions, procedure to record, investigate, analyze, and correct causes of non-conforming products or failures to meet standards, specifications, and procedures. And CUPA procedures should be communicated, understand, and effectively implemented with an agreed timescale along with the evaluation of time taken. Identification and traceability. Adequate system should be established to identify the trace products lots through traceability key, including raw materials, components, and packaging materials during all phases of the production process. And verification of traceability system from raw material to customer at defined frequencies has to be in the systems. An incident, product withdrawal, and product recall, and documented procedure to manage product withdrawal and product recall processes, including validation of incident along with the CUPA. Documented awareness program to the personnels or the incident about which could lead to the product recall, and written agreement and consistent in place with the supply chain in the event of product recall, and periodic verification of the product recall procedures. In the business continuity plan, there should be a system in place for identifying the methods that ensure the business continuity in the event of major incidents or threats, like an example, natural calamities or power failures or etc. to the business, which cause to a quality issue or cause to the delay of the shipment. And business continuity plan should include. So a senior management responsible for decision making, oversight, and initiating actions arising from the crisis management incidents. The business continuity plan should include a current list of key contacts, source of legal and expert advice, responsibility of internal communication and communication with authorities, and customer focus, a process for documenting customer specifications, needs, and requirements, review of customer requirements, change control procedure and records of changes to existing customer requirements, and performance indicators relating to customer satisfactions. And there should be a procedure and system for handling the customer complaints and investigating the root cause and resolution of product complaints, and analyze and use of complaints data for implementations. On site location and perimeters, the factory site location perimeter, including nearby environment, allow the production of safe and legal products, and process flow charts, process flow and location of machineries and equipments that laid efficiently well balanced to minimize the risk, and adequate working space and storage capacities. The staff facilities must be designed and operated so that they sufficiently minimize all risk of the product contaminations. Suitable and sufficient storage facilities to accommodate all reasonable personal items, and cleaning and hygienic practices. Cleanliness procedures, including scheduling of build machines, equipment, staffs, facilities, equipment to be used for cleaning, responsibility for the verification and cleaning records and maintenance, and chemicals that used to be cleaning. On waste disposals, there should be a procedure in place for the collection, collation, and disposal of waste materials, segregation of waste according to its nature, identification according to waste type on waste containers, disposal of waste according to the natures and according to legal requirements, and waste disposal records. And there should be a pest control policy and procedures, pest control measures initiative, internal and external to trained persons, labeled pest control chemical storages, controls and practices of minimizing the risk of pest infections, pest control inspection records, and placement of pest control devices. And product control, there should be a procedure in place of the selection and handling and storage and approval of the reference samples, sample that issues and return records in the supply chain, storage of samples in adequate condition to retain it the original status is very important, and sample retention for specific period as specified by the customer or as per the internal procedures is also important. So chemical control, chemical composition of products and chemicals used in the manufacturing or processing of products shall be identified, monitored, and recorded as required by the legislation in the country. System in place to ensure the non-presence of hazardous substance and raw materials. System in place to ensure the non-presence of hazards and substance in final products. Product packing materials and packaging assessed for the fitness of the purpose. Ensure to protect the product from damages. Ensure to maintain the integrity of the product. Ensure to protect the consumer from injuries, and ensure to prevent the product from contaminations. And control of non-conforming material is very important. There should be a procedure which is establishing for the control of non-conforming materials and products, including the rejections, segregations, acceptance by consenting or regrading for an alternative use. Procedures are understood by the authorized person and implemented effectively with the records. And regarding transport, storage, and distributions, preventive measures taken to ensure the transport, storage, and distribution across the supply chains. Stock control and product releases, company shall establish a procedure ensuring the products conforming to the specifications defining the quality are dispatched. Positive release by the authorized personnel. All inspection and testing shall be successfully completed and documented to verify other defined requirements. Product releases should follow or in accordance to the product shelf life, and procedures established for disposal of excess stock or obsolete inventory where such situations routinely occurs. Product testing is also equally important. The factory should have a suitable and sufficient validated testing programs to ensure the safe and legal production of procedures that meet the required quality standards. Testing manuals and standards based on the national and international standards should be in records. On-site or full equipped laboratory with the trained technicians, and consistent checking methods, in-house systems, and corrective action, preventive action should be in place for a failed testing procedures or failed results, testing results, and retention of test reports for a defined period with the specified by the customers as per the internal procedures. And calibration of your testing equipments is also important. So this is an example of a manufacturing process control. The example has been taken in the apparel industry. So in the sample room, from the sample room and the pattern maker and pre-production activities and control of operations, control of incoming components and raw materials, warehouse of fabric, yarns and trims and accessories, spreading and cutting and fusing, printing, embroidery, sieving process, finishing and pressing, final packing, final audit, calibration of control of measurements and monitoring devices, equipment of tooling maintenance. So all the production lines and all this process, everywhere the procedure has to be written, and the procedure has the responsible person has to define that who will be the responsible person handling these procedures, how periodic the checks and balance are made on these procedures, and what are the actions and activities taken on the failure of the process and the qualities. It's much important on the process controls. On the personal training and competences, training of procedures, plan and periodic trainings. A personal training and competences determine the competency of the persons who are performing by impacting the training and safety, legality and qualities. Identify the training needs, including the refresh trainings in periodically, training on risk assessment and procedures, evaluation of trainings, and retention of up-to-date training records. So by implementing the effective quality management system, the result would be on reduced quality cost, reduced delays, and practical risk-based standards focused on product and process controls. Factory established of comprehensive quality and management systems, continuous improvement on the system established, client qualify the factory with the confidence, and avoid customer complaints or claims or product recalls. And thanks for this opportunity. I hope this slide gives an idea for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sabrinathan. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, Tanya, you are.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. That was a lot of valuable content that you shared through your PPT. I'm hopeful that the MSME members have gathered some insightful knowledge from here. Thank you very much. I would like to open the floor to any question answers. Do we have any question and answers? I can see one question here from a member. I can see Shweta requesting for BAA services for fine jewelry.
Tanya, I'd like to answer that if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shweta, see, BA is an association, just like PhD, CCI or FICCI, we are all associations. In personal capacity, we are not in a position to offer you buying agent services. However, we have a complete directory of buying agents who can be of use to you. So if you do wish to avail the services of buying agents for fine jewelry, you can definitely get in touch with us, take down the details of those members and see the ones that are apt for your requirements and touch base with them.
Achal, I'd like to add here for Shweta that you can also visit the website and you can see the members who are relevant to your product and take it on from there. Any other questions from members here?
No, Tanya, I don't think there are any further questions. So I think the presentation was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we may,
I'd like to move on to a vote of thanks to all the FICCI, the entire FICCI team, all the CMSME members, our speakers representing BAA today. Thank you, all of you all, for joining us. For the members, I would just like to say that the topic of today is of immense relevance to the exporter community in India. Our speakers today have covered every little aspect of quality and compliance as it is perceived in the global market. I can confidently say that the growth prospects of your business are directly related to the quality you choose to project in your product from the very initial stage of your business. I suggest members who are considering export as an opportunity to give enough emphasis to quality and the compliance aspect of the business. Thank you all for your time and patience. Have a very good weekend. Thank you all from FICCI for all your patience and cooperation. Thank you, our valued speakers. Thank you, members. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you, BA. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
Thank you all the
Thank you,
esteemed
everyone.
speakers. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Achal. Thank you so much.
Thank you.